Coming up, we have stories about uncomfortable living situations, forced babysitting, quick breakups, disagreements over diets, stepmoms who cross the line, not taking no for an answer. We also have spicy stories, a cake story, and a petty revenge story. Hello there, it is Dusty Thunder with a story for you. Title of this one is, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Let My Wife's Daughter Move In After a Past Conflict with My Son? The my wife's daughter verbiage is a little alarming, ain't it? For privacy, I'm using fake names here. I've been married to my wife Laura for about 2 years. We both have kids from previous relationships. I have a son, 20 male, Jake, who's in college. Laura has a daughter, 22 female, Emily, who just graduated and is currently job hunting. Okay. Kids being older makes the wife's daughter thing make a little bit more sense. Not a lot, but still a little bit. Last summer, Jake stayed with us for about 6 weeks between dorm leases. Emily was around a lot too, and honestly, it was tense. They didn't really get along. No big fights or anything, just a lot of awkward silence and weird energy. Emily made a few comments about the house feeling crowded, and Jake mostly kept to himself. About a month in, Emily said she lost some cash and a pair of earbuds. She told Laura, who brought it to me. I confronted Jake about it. He got pretty upset, said he didn't take anything, and he felt like he was being accused unfairly. Said it felt like he wasn't welcome. He ended up leaving early to stay with a friend. We barely talked for a while after that. A couple of months later, Emily found the missing stuff in an old gym bag. Ooh. Said it was probably just stress, a mistake, but she never actually apologized or took responsibility. No sorry, no real acknowledgement of what that put Jake through. I told Laura that it was messed up and that Jake was hurt by it. She said she understood, but didn't want to push Emily. Now Emily wants to move in with us temporarily while she looks for work. Laura says it's fine and won't be for long. I said, no, I don't trust the situation and I don't want a repeat of last summer. Laura says I'm being harsh and holding a grudge. A few friends say that I should let it go, that family is family. God, family is family. And I should try to move on. But I feel stuck between keeping the peace in my marriage and protecting my son. Jake hasn't said much about it, but I know he still feels weird about what happened. And Emily's never really owned up to it. Am I being unreasonable for saying no to her moving in? Or am I just trying to avoid another mess? Okay. You know what?
I have a solution.
You have a solution?
I'm going to make that my line. Yes, I think you're being unreasonable about your wife's daughter being able to move in, because at the end of the day, I feel like the wife would have as much right to have her child live with her as you do your son to live with you. But I would make the condition of her living in the house with you to be that she has to own up to the situation. So to make sure that we just squash it, like communicate with your children so that they know what honest and open communication is. Talk about it in a family setting and get it all out on the table and avoid it, because this is the rest of your life that you're looking at. These kids are going to be involved in the rest of your life. Why do you want to create a divide? This is a fixable problem. This is not like I feel like he's making this a bigger deal than it is. But I do feel like that Emily also needs to apologize.
Agreed. And go back to the beginning here, whenever the shit went down, she made it a big deal in the first place. That's why he was basically carrying out the investigation and asked his son. And who knows what that conversation looked like. I think probably in the very beginning of that is where it was mishandled, right? Instead of her being like, I'm missing this stuff, and immediately everybody in the house is like, Jake, when it should have been like, okay, well, let's go through all of your shit and look for it before we start accusing people. How about that? And that's probably where the misstep was. So I do feel like ESH is the right move here. Yes, she needs to own up. Yes, I'm not going to say he needs to move on, but he needs to present a solution. Like you said, Candy Thunder, there needs to be some kind of solution here, not just no. Just no doesn't help anything. It doesn't. It creates a further divide, like she said. And that is not the solution that you want. That's not what I think you need to define your goal here, Dad. Like, figure it out. What is it that you really want to come of this? Do you want everybody to be more comfortable around each other? Like, comfort comes from overcoming uncomfortable situations, right? So if you force them to have a conversation here and you say, yeah, I'm cool with that, but you need to mend this relationship so it's not awkward as hell moving forward, forcing them to have that uncomfortable conversation could get them more comfortable with each other, period. Or they could just effing hate each other, because even though they're not like siblings that grew up together, they're siblings. And maybe that's just like, hey, if we're siblings, I'm going to hate you and you're going to hate me and cool. Maybe. But this at least gives that a shot of moving forward. And I also agree with Candy Thunder that this isn't like this vote is not entirely up to you. It needs to be a discussion. And there is a solution here, but it seems like everybody is in their own little shitty space right now. So, yes, everybody sucks. ESH, let's make it official. Okay, Tony Spark makes a fair point here. Tony Spark makes a fair point and says that Emily never actually accused Jake. Was it? Yeah. Emily never actually accused Jake of it. Dad just went and, so Dad did that. So does she have anything to apologize for even? Chat, what do you think?
I mean, she was insinuating that someone in the house took it. And so,
I mean, if she comes up and she's like, I'm missing these things. I feel like she nonchalantly accused him without explicitly saying, I think Jake took this shit. She just said, I'm missing some stuff. She obviously wasn't accusing OP or her mom. He's the only other person left there. Unless the cat needed to steal some more cash and, had to pay his nip dealer. Catnip. Yeah, no, okay.
I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got one of these for you. It's a spicy reward story. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Going Off on My Coworker After She Tried to Discipline My Kid at a Work Barbecue? It's a spicy barbecue story, not a sweet barbecue story. I, 31 female, work in marketing at a mid-sized company. We had a casual barbecue at my boss's house, and we were told it was fine to bring partners and kids. I brought my 5-year-old son. He's super social, not perfect, obviously, but generally well-behaved and respectful. Enter Kelly, fake name, a coworker in her late 30s who has no kids, has said multiple times she doesn't like them, and makes passive comments whenever someone brings a kid to the office, even for 10 minutes to pick something up. She acts like the mere presence of a child gives her a migraine. Well, she'd hate working here because we're all children. At the barbecue, my son was playing tag with some other kids in the yard. They were loud, sure, but it's a barbecue. Outside with other kids, normal stuff. Out of nowhere, I see Kelly grab my son by the arm and snap at him. You need to stop yelling. You're not at the zoo.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Hell no.
Also, has this bitch ever been to a zoo? Like, it's not like the go-to place for yelling. I swear to Jeebus, I thought I misheard. My kid looked freaked out and came running to me. I walked up to her and said something like, don't talk to my child like that. If you have an issue, you come to me. You don't touch him, and you definitely don't insult him. She rolled her eyes and said someone had to set boundaries, and since I clearly wasn't going to, I lost it. I told her to stay away from my kid and that she had no business putting her hands on anyone else's child. People definitely heard, and it was awkward for sure. Now she's been cold at work, and another coworker said that I overreacted and that Kelly was just trying to help. Am I the astronaut for causing a scene? Let's read the top comment. Have no kids, don't work with them, don't want them, and don't feel comfortable around them in general. I like my peace and quiet and don't have a ton of patience with kids. I'm just not suited to dealing with them very much. I cannot imagine ever putting my hands on a child unless they were in imminent danger or putting someone else in danger. About to shove their hand in burning coal? Yeah, I'm going to stop them from doing that. Reaching for a rattlesnake? Oops, let's just scoop that wee one up and set them aside while we relocate the critter somewhere not so less than ideal. About to French kiss a semi going 80 miles per hour? You bet I'm snatching them up and out of the way, but just run around and being a kid? She's lucky getting yelled at was all she got, and not getting her hand back in pieces shoved down her throat one by one. I like this commenter. I don't want any of my own and have no desire to spend more time around them than strictly necessary, but that doesn't mean I'd ever mistreat one. I swear so many people take it's okay to not be good with kids to mean it's okay to actively hate people and who have committed the crime of not being older already and to treat them like trash and sometimes even get physical with them. I don't like kids, but that doesn't mean that I won't protect them when needed because they are children.
I think this is a good reminder for people that choose to be child-free that you are entitled to a child-free life, but not a child-free world. Children exist. If children didn't exist, the world would stop. The people that also, if anyone ever puts their hands on my child, be prepared for your world to end because I don't even scared, I will go ape shit on someone. Also, I love this commenter because they accept the fact that they don't want kids, they're not good with kids, and that's totally fine. That is your choice. But like they said, they are a member of society. Our world does not, our world stops if there aren't children. Like, you understand that you were a child once and you grew up into an adult who got the choice to make whether or not you wanted children. But for someone to put their hand on my child, that's everything that I know. Like, animal instinct is taking over because I will cause a scene. Like, you don't get to touch my child. If you have a problem, if my child does something, you come to the parent. I would never approach a child and touch them or tell them that they're like, insult them the way that she has. Like, that is completely uncalled for, especially at a work barbecue.
You're being too loud. Do you think you're outside or something? What does this look like? A barbecue?
Yeah, I think
the whole zoo thing still has me like,
what are you gonna
befuddled here?
Like animals are just yelling.
You need to not yell. You're not at a zoo. It's the first thing I do when I get to the zoo. I'm like, hey, animals, it's time to yell. The lions are like, oh, hey.
Yeah,
This kid was 5. This is a 5-year-old kid.
so that's 1 year older than our youngest. Yeah, I know how I would feel. I'm so interested to see how you would feel because I'm Mama Bear. Like, I know that 100%. But I want to know how you would react if somebody did this to our child.
There would be words. There would be a let's talk in private conversation. Or have you seen? I'm pretty sure it was SNL that did a skit of like a skit parody of the whole NBC's The Slap thing, the Zachary Quinto show. But in their version, this guy just walks around and slaps everybody. Just like, doesn't matter. It's like everybody. That would be hilarious. This is 100% not okay. And you would be having a conversation with me privately, and we'd be going into like who the hell you think you are, and may get the authorities involved, may not. You don't touch someone else's kid. Unless, like top commenter here says, you're saving their life. There's some kind of imminent threat. Like, you don't touch someone else's kid. You can be annoyed by kids all you want, but to actively engage with them in a negative way is just f***ed up. You shouldn't be allowed around kids. And you know what? That's probably for your benefit, but also for the rest of the world's, because you, for whatever reason, you have more than a preference to not have or be around kids. Like, you have, for whatever reason, something happened in your past that made you like hate children, right? Maybe you were a teen whenever your mom had another kid and that baby took all the attention and you just grew to hate kids for that reason, but you're taking it out on every kid in the entire world right now. You need help. You need to talk to somebody and figure out why you have the feelings that you do and why you're okay with acting on them toward children. Defenseless 5-year-old kids. You better expect a parent to react. Am I the astronaut for sneaking out and causing my sister to lose her job? My sister is 33 female and I'm 14 female. She had a baby 3 months ago. I just got out of school for the summer and really wanted to rest, but my sister decided she wants to finally get a job. Now she's making me babysit my niece. I have 0 experience with babies and I get overstimulated easily. It's been really hurtful. I asked her if she could put the baby in daycare or something, but she refused. I decided to just suck it up, but it's been exhausting. I have insomnia, and it's hard to sleep when I feel like I need to be awake 24/7 to watch the baby. I'm constantly scared something might happen if I fall asleep. Okay, hold on. Quick red flag timeout here. Okay, this is OP, who is 14, OP's sister, who's 33. Baby's 3 months, and OP's sister is like, hey, you're 14. You're in charge of my baby now. That doesn't seem right or safe or like anything that should be happening here. I told my mom how I felt, but she just said I'd just have to deal with it. Both my parents work, so I'm left alone with the baby for hours almost every day. What mom is going to be like, yeah, no, this is the right thing to do. You're 14. Here's your baby. A few days ago, I got tired of everything. The night before my sister got ready for work, I snuck out and went to my friend's house so I wouldn't have to deal with it and could finally get some sleep. When I came home that morning after I saw all the missed calls and messages, and my mom and sister were really mad at me. They said I was being selfish and lazy. My sister even quit her job because I told her I'd leave again if she kept making me babysit. I definitely felt bad after. It feels like my whole family is barely talking to me except for my dad, and even he said I shouldn't have done that. Also, I love my niece, and this isn't hate to her. She's adorable. A little edit for more info. I see my dad being brought up a bit, but he works in different places with steel work. He's very rarely home, but we do call often. My niece's father doesn't want anything to do with her or my sister. It's been that way since she was pregnant anyway. So she left him and moved back in with us. She had a job before but quit to take care of the baby when she was a newborn and up until now, of course. Also, her and my mom work at the same place, so they're both night shift jobs and they're tired when they come home from working, so I usually have to watch my niece a bit longer so they can rest when they get home since they expect me to sleep while I'm babysitting. But I just can't. I'm so paranoid something could happen. Even when I'm feeding the baby and she coughs even a little or something, or if she's sleeping too hard, I panic. And honestly, I didn't even know daycare wasn't free until I read these comments. I thought maybe it was like public school. Sorry. You shouldn't have to know, OP. You're 14 years old. This is not the kind of thing that somebody is just like, here, it's your responsibility. No. It's the baby's mom's responsibility. It is not your job to be doing this. Especially, they gave you the graveyard shift, kid. And you're right. With a baby, 3 months, still a baby in my book, like it's tough in the beginning. Like, yes, if you've just been handed the torch on this thing and they're like, yeah, sleep, but don't let anything happen to the kid. And you're like scared as hell, as you should be, until you get into some kind of rhythm of learning this baby and learning what the you're doing. You're going to be super nervous here. That's just how it's going to be. This should never be dumped in your lap. No one can force you to do this. And if they are forcing you to do this, this feels like a CPS kind of phone call.
Absolutely. Like my heart is broken for this little girl. She's 14. She is not the asshole in any way, shape, or form. She is a 14-year-old child. A 14-year-old child does not watch a baby like this. I could understand like an hour or something like that. Like, but this is completely unacceptable. Like this is unacceptable to do this to your 14-year-old child and then make them feel like shame and wrong that they can't do this anymore because they're not sleeping. And I don't blame them. Like the sleep part of it when you have a new baby, like that is scary. And that's something that a parent should be monitoring, not a child, not another child. That is the definition of parentification. And that is what they were doing to this poor child. And she is burnt the out. And they don't even seem to care. They only care about how it affects their life. By calling her selfish, fuck them.
Her sister, baby's mom, decided to go back to work. That was a decision.
You don't get to go back to work unless you have someone to care for your child. And that someone cannot be a 14-year-old girl that is telling you she can't handle this.
Exactly. Also, if mom and OP's sis work in the same place, there's got to be a way for them to work alternating shifts and not work at the same time. That's the only option here. This is not something that gets thrown onto a 14-year-old kid. It's just not. Unless that 14-year-old is like, hey, I would love to do this. I can do this. I'd love to do it and like make some extra money if you want me to sit her. Not full overnights all the time.
No, I mean, she's raising that baby at this point because she's saying they're coming home from their overnight shift and still sleeping. And so she's still having to be, I mean, I know it's summertime here in the United States right now. I don't know where this story is from, but how is she going to go to school? How is she going to do all the things that she should be able to do? She should be able to go to her friends and spend the night if that's what she wants to do. She should not be forced to raise a child she did not bring into this world at 14 years old. That is a f***ed up thing to do to your child. Sis and mom are ass con one. Dad can go there too since he supported them. That. Like, you are not supporting your child. Your responsibility is your child.
Yeah, and they're taking advantage of you, OP, and treating you like you have no choice. Little do they know that you do. They're not going to like it when you finally do issue that choice because it's going to reflect poorly on them. There's going to be some ramifications for it, but you do have a choice, and it ain't this. I feel really bad for you. I feel really bad for the baby in this too because it's being treated like a burden. It's not okay. There has to be another solution, or like she didn't have the choice of going back to work. That's it. There has to be another solution. That isn't you. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again. Got a story for you. Am I the astronaut for wanting to break up with my boyfriend of one day? Hi Reddit, I've never posted on here, but I want some relationship advice since I don't have much experience with relationships. Just the one day, apparently. I will also try to be as clear as possible. I-24 female. I-24 female have been talking to this guy. Let's call him Zed, 27 male, for around 3 months now. I knew the name was gonna send her over the edge. I was like, Zed, oh shit, here she goes. I'm just, just the name, just like a random name to choose. All right, we're gonna take a serious run at this now. I-24 female have been talking to this guy. Let's call him Zed, 27 male, for around 3 months now. We met on Tinder and our conversation was great. For our first date, we decided to go on a mini golf date and it was so much fun. We really had great chemistry and clicked very well. We went on a couple more dates after that, and I really started to develop feelings for him. I communicated this with Zed, and he told me due to some past relationship issues and trauma, he wasn't ready to commit to a long-term relationship yet. I thought that was fair since I understood. His ex was not very nice to him and didn't give him any closure before she just up and left him for another guy. I was very patient for the next couple of months, especially since we didn't really know each other that well and we're still getting to know each other. The more we talked throughout the months, the more I realized he didn't think of me as a priority. He used work as an excuse and being too tired to come see me. A couple times he canceled what we had planned, which sucked. He had reasons, but I don't know. It still didn't make me feel important. I also feel like our texting chemistry has gone down. Shelf life on that, apparently. All we talk about is work and how our days are going, never about anything really meaningful or important or our future. I kind of had gotten to a point of getting over him in a sense because I felt like he wasn't giving me what I needed, and I know my worth. That brings me to tonight. We hadn't seen each other in 2 weeks due to our schedules and me flying out of state for an event. We got dinner and then headed back to my place for some much needed quality time together. I want to be clear. His company is always so nice and he makes me happy when we're together. I feel like we really understand each other and accept each other for who we are as people. I feel safe and calm when I'm with him. He is caring and checks in on me frequently. We have the same sense of humor and both like the same things. So tonight he finally asked me to be his girlfriend. I had been waiting to hear those words for months, but my initial reaction was not to say yes. I felt like I would ruin the moment and everything if I were to say no, especially because I was the one who wanted to be official in the first place. So I said yes. I was happy, but now I'm just more conflicted, so I need your help. This was yesterday that she said yes, and she's like, yeah, but no. I know I need to communicate with him, but am I the astronaut for not wanting a relationship with Zed? Like maybe he is just oblivious to how his actions make me feel. I haven't communicated with him. I feel like I never know when to. Is this relationship a good thing? Will it work out if we talk about our doubts? I really do like him and I want this to work out, but I also have self-respect enough to know I have needs that aren't being met. Can that be communicated and improved, or is it a lost cause and I should just end it now? Thank you for reading. There's a couple of thoughts, but let's get Tater in the mix here first.
I've pulled it together. I feel like
Don't say stuff like that. That's going to make me laugh.
how many people think that he was seeing other women or other people while he was doing this? Because
Is that the vibe you got?
that's what I got. Like they met on Tinder. He was probably talking to other people. And I just feel like this is like he waited out that time where he was probably talking to someone else that he may have been more interested in, especially if the texting went down. And like it just became like more friendship vibes. And then he came back around whenever fizzled out,
off, yeah.
whatever fizzled out that he was already in.
His 7-day free trial.
Obviously, I'm projecting. Like this is probably like something that everyone has been through, but that's the vibe that I got based on relationships that I have experienced in the past.
Or
I think if they wanted to, they would is the biggest thing. If they like you and they are so into you, you can't like with you and I dating, like nothing could keep us away from each other. It was like we wanted to be together all the time. Like we wanted to see each other. I wanted to see you all the time, and it was like hopefully reciprocated.
Here I am.
Yeah. So like, we wanted that. Like we were falling in love with each other. Like we wanted to be around each other. And I feel like when somebody is giving you this vibe, you're getting that vibe for a reason. And she said yes hesitantly. And she said it yes hesitantly for a reason. So listen to yourself. Like, what is yourself telling you right now?
Okay, here's another angle. Here's a doodly angle that I would like to throw your direction.
Yes, absolutely.
And keep it on candy cam for you here because I want your reaction to this.
Okay.
The doodly angle on this is that the tone that I hear throughout this entire thing is what he does for me. Mm-hmm. Me, 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 me. I feel like she is only focused on what he does for her and not how they are together in a relationship. She did give us one line about them having like a similar sense of humor and being like having good chemistry together there, but it is all about like my needs. And even when he could have potentially actually had work things, could have been busy with work for a while, or it could have been that he got the Mimi's vibe from this and was like, man, I don't know.
Then why would he circle back around 3 months later and ask her to be his girlfriend?
Maybe gave it a chance because they finally got to spend a little more time together. It's possible. I'm not saying it's that, but I'm saying there is an innocent path here that is possible.
Now let me ask you this. No matter how tired you were, no matter how much work you had, what kept you away from me in the beginning of our relationship? Because nothing did.
That's a good point.
Nothing kept you away. You would have rather had 2 hours of sleep than not spend time with me. Same. And I felt the exact same way.
Okay,
I couldn't wait
here's the
to be with
though.
you.
Yeah, and maybe maybe it is like that a little bit, but if she does have the Mimi focus that it feels like she has from the post, and if he is actually really busy with work, it seems like there would be a communication between the two of them. It's like, oh, we can't do our original plan because this shit got really busy. Okay, how about I go pick up some dinner and I bring it to your place?
Yeah, I do agree.
That would have been what would happen with us.
100%. And I do agree in this situation that she's unsure of herself. And like she said, I didn't know when I should text him. And I think she felt that she shouldn't text him because she was getting a vibe that he wasn't available, like if conversationally available. She said that earlier in the post, like I wasn't sure when I should or what I should do or what I should say. So she is a little bit young in that she's 24. I think she's a little bit young and not secure in what she wants and what she's feeling in a relationship. Sure. So I do feel that way with her, but I think she needs to. You don't gain that maturity in a relationship until you have the hard conversations. So I think it's important for her to have this conversation with him and be like, hey, this is what I wouldn't call them expectations, but like, this is what I want out of a relationship. What is it that you want?
Call them expectations. I think it would be hilarious.
What do you want out of a relationship? What means something to you? Like, how can we make this work together?
Hi, yes, Zed. It's time for your 30-day review. Please come into my office. These were the expectations, and that's what I think expectations would. Too far. Like, I understand your perspective here too, and the vibe that he gives off. And in the end, this is look, you're young. Like, you don't learn how to relationship until you're relationshiping.
100%.
It's one of those things that
trial by fire.
Yep, trial by fire. You feel your way through. You have tough conversations. That's how you understand the situations better and understand each other better. And in your early 20s, you don't know shit about when it comes to communication. I started practicing opera at 6 a.m. because my neighbor complained about my noisy coffee grinder. That's heavy petty. I, 28 female, have lived in my apartment for about 2 years now. Every morning, I grind fresh coffee beans around 7:30 a.m. before work. It takes maybe 30 seconds tops. Never had a single complaint until the new guy moved in next door 4 months ago. This dude, probably mid-40s, works nights apparently. But instead of talking to me like a normal person, he started leaving passive-aggressive notes under my door. First it was, some people are trying to sleep. Then, the coffee grinder is excessive. Finally, last month, he escalated to filing a formal noise complaint with the landlord. The landlord laughed it off since 7:30 a.m. is well within reasonable hours, but Prince Charming next door didn't stop there. He started banging on the walls whenever I used any kitchen appliance. Blender, bang, bang. Microwave beeping, bang, bang, bang. So I decided if he wants to play the noise game, I'll play. Turns out I took opera lessons in college and still remember most of the vocals. Now I practice scales and arias every morning at 6 a.m. sharp, completely legal quiet hours, end at 6 in our building. The best part, when he came pounding on my door last week screaming about the singing, I innocently told him I'm pursuing my passion and that music is meant to be shared. He tried filing another complaint, but the landlord told him that practicing music during daytime hours is perfectly acceptable. I've been doing this for 3 weeks now. This morning I started learning Wagner. Those pieces are really long. Petty? Absolutely. But hey, at least my vocal range is improving. OP, I think it's fantastic. Also, like, look, I know some people work nights. Like, that's a thing, right? But I think if you're a person that work nights, you have to realize that most of the world is very active during the day. And it kind of seems like there's a niche for like apartment housing or something for people who work nights. That way, everybody is awake at night and it's like during the day.
I'm going to let this Prince Charming asshole guy in on a little secret. Noise canceling headphones. They work. And then you could just play like ocean sounds, or you could just literally just turn them on and they will diffuse all of the noise happening around you. And then you could sleep in peace. I think they actually have noise canceling earbuds. So if you prefer to sleep, like on your side or something, like they would still work for you.
Even just like, we use our Google Assistant sometimes and we'll have it play fan noises, like white noise for sleeping. You can do that.
Right.
And it works pretty darn well at covering up noise, at least. There are a lot of options, but look, I mean, this is one of the dangers this is one of the risks you accept. And I think when you live in something like an apartment complex or a duplex or something that's buttered up against another person's living space, like they live there too. You don't control all the spaces, unfortunately.
No, and you can't control all the sound. And it sucks. Yep. It does suck. It sucks hearing everything around you. But if you're choosing to live in an apartment, it's like you're choosing to hear the noise. So I would definitely invest in good quality noise canceling headphones and just stop. You're putting all this negative energy, like enraging yourself to the point of going to the landlord and like filing all these complaints. When you could literally just save some money and go buy the headphones.
Yeah.
Because that,
and then build allies with your neighbors instead of enemies. And that would be wild.
Right.
Then like if you were actually an ally with this neighbor, it could be a you guys are friendly. You talk when you need to talk. You deliver a freaking fruit basket. I don't know. But then at some point you're like, hey, would it be possible if like for this X little window of time that this doesn't happen? Like it would be a huge deal for me. Instead of just being abrasive and petty shitty about it. You know what I mean? It is kind of funny that somebody's willing to bang on your wall but won't have a face-to-face conversation with you, wants to slide notes under your door. Like, as long as there's something in between you, he's real tough, but won't have a conversation with you face-to-face. Cool. Am I the astronaut for telling my wife to eat better and getting on to her about it? That sounds dangerous. We're both mid-30s and we have a 2-month-old baby who is breastfed. Okay, let's go ahead and stop right there. Hold on. New information, ladies and gentlemen. We're one line into this story and OP has become an even bigger asshole. Telling your wife to eat better and getting on to her about it, and she had a baby 2 months ago.
And breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding. Okay, all right. Smart. I'll be blunt, my wife's diet is terrible. She's not overweight, nor does she have any health problems, but she just doesn't eat anything healthy. Not overweight, no health problems. He just doesn't like what she eats. Her diet consists mainly of chips and then some form of meat or pie or frozen pizza or something else to that effect. She tells me she doesn't like anything. The only veggie she likes is cucumber and lettuce, and the only fruit she'll eat is strawberries and apples. That is it. She eats a hell of a lot of ultra-processed snacks like chocolate, cake, and biscuits. I class myself as quite a healthy eater. But I only eat one meal a day, and it's very regimented and full of vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats. I cook for her in the evening, and I'll ask her what she wants for tea, but it's always the same things all the time. When she does herself dinner, it's always something like bread and butter or bread and cheese, or I've seen her eat just raw bread. Sometimes she'll ask me to cook her a beef ragu and spaghetti, and I always sneak as much vegetables as I can in. A cup of spinach, kale, mushrooms, sometimes kidney beans, although she tends to pick them out, and keep asking her to take some supplements like vitamin D, especially with her breastfeeding, and she might have 1 or 2 supplements, but then forgets to take them for days on end, and I have to keep reminding her. I always try to get her to try new things, but she always says that she doesn't like the texture or something. I know it's her body and she can eat what she wants, but I kind of worry about her long-term health when she keeps eating like this. I've pointed it out when she has a slice of cake at 10:30 a.m. that it's not healthy and she should eat better, and she gets ultra defensive and we end up falling out. I've tried approaching it delicately. At the end, the result is the same. I don't know how breastfeeding works in terms of how she eats affects the quality, I guess, of the breast milk, but I worry that her lack of proper diet and nutrients may also have an effect on the baby. I do give her some vitamin D supplements and stuff, but I still get a little worried. At the end of the day, I only want what's best for her and really do want her to eat a little better. But each time I mention it, I get demonized and make to feel like I'm being controlling or something. It isn't at all like that, at least not from my view, and I end up feeling really guilty. For anyone wondering, yes, her diet has always been bad, and the baby hasn't changed her diet in any way. She has had a bad diet for as long as we've been together, which is coming on 9 years. Slight edit to add when I say get on her about it. I don't mean literally all the time, but fairly frequently. I didn't think that explanation was going in that direction. I was like, when I say get on her about it, I don't mean literally. And I was like, well, yeah, obviously. And then he's like, okay, no. Tater Rooney.
I mean, this may piss a lot of people off, but as someone who is now facing the issues of having a shitty diet, as I approach 40, I feel like changing your diet earlier in life is actually important. I think because it can cause issues in your life, but you can't make that decision for her. She has to want that for herself. And she will have ramifications of her diet, of eating highly processed food, about she's going to have issues with highly processed food later in life, but you can't make those changes for her. I don't think he's centering himself. I think I get the vibe that he loves her and he wants to be with her for life and he wants her to be healthy, but he cannot make those choices for her.
Agreed. You can't make those choices for her. And from my perspective here, this whole time when I was reading through this, I'm like, you're getting into controlling territory, getting into controlling territory, getting into controlling territory. And then I'm like, wait a second. Like when her habit affects your child directly, you do have more to care about there and you should have more of a voice. Not the angle, like, it kept getting worse here. And for you, OP, like, I understand. I get it. Now you're like, hey, my baby is receiving her bad diet. And maybe that's where the real concern comes from because he knows he's not going to change what she does for her own sake. But now it's their child's sake seeing this as well and getting used to these things. Like, I understand that concern. But here at the end, you say, it's always been bad for as long as we've been together, which is going on 9 years. You're not going to change that through bitching.
That's what you just said. You can't bitch at her to make her change.
Exactly.
That is 100% going to force her in the opposite direction. That's going to make her want to be petty and feel slighted and feel attacked because you're coming. It's like trying to tell someone that they need to go to therapy. That's not going to make them want to go to therapy. That's going to make them defensive about what they're currently doing. And I feel like he's hitting the same wall.
Yeah. You need therapy and you need to eat better. Things are probably along the same lines as like no one wants to hear that.
I mean, we talk a lot about how children change your life and how you make decisions based on what you want for your children. And maybe that's what he's feeling now and why he's pushing for this change because he wants a mom that's going to be there in 40 years. He wants these things out of life. And so, but he has to go about it a different way. He's going to have to make her want it too.
Right. Yeah. And if anything, Ellen, I see what you're saying here. Ellen says she ate like shit before they got married and before she got pregnant, but he expects her to magically change now. You should have thought of that before you got married and had a baby. Yeah. So he accepted that risk head on and now is trying to get her to change just at the drop of a hat. It's not going to happen like that. You aren't going to be able to like whip her into submission to get her to do this. You're not going to be able to bitch at her and negatively react here and get her to react in a positive way that you want, right? You can lead by example, which you have, but she hasn't adopted, right? Start trying to show her the benefits of it or make it as easy as possible, which it feels like you're trying to do as well. But if this is going to happen, it's got to come from someone that she trusts, like a doctor or a parent or something like that. And if you have a genuine concern, if you've already had the discussion with her and tried to explain calmly, like your reasons for being concerned, instead of just trying to shove this lifestyle on her, if you've already done that, then maybe it's worth a conversation with mom if you're close to mom and she'll listen to her. You know what I mean? Because you're concerned, not because like you just want her to do this. It's out of genuine care and concern, but your expectations that she's going to just take the bait and do this when you're really just trying to force it on her, that's unreasonable. It's unreasonable. Am I the astronaut for asking my cousin to help with my 2-year-old? I, 32 female, have a 2-year-old son, and my husband, 34 male, and I are both working full-time and overwhelmed with childcare responsibilities. We don't have nearby family to lean on regularly, and we've hit a point where we truly need some help during the week. My cousin, 29 female, lives 1.5 hours away. She doesn't have kids, doesn't want any, which I fully respect, and recently quit her toxic job without having a new one lined up. Her husband currently supports her financially. Given her open schedule, I reached out to her with a proposal. Come stay with us Wednesday through Friday to help out with our son. We have a finished basement with a pull-out couch for her to stay in. I offered $150 a week. I didn't expect her to do it for free. I thought it was a fair offer. Wait, 24/7 for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? What is it? How many hours? Like 72 hours? $50 a day. 72 hours. She declined. I didn't press at the time, but a few weeks later around Easter, I brought it up again because we were still struggling. I explained how much the help would mean to us. She declined again and mentioned not being able to go to her gym and not wanting to change diapers as one of her reasons. I get that routine is important, but it felt like a small sacrifice given the circumstances. At our Mother's Day barbecue, my husband privately asked her mom, my aunt, if she could try talking to her. Oh, you're just going to force her into it now. That's going to work. Tell you what, you know who I want watching my kid? The people who I have to trick into watching my kid. That's the people I want to trust with my child's life. My cousin overheard, got angry, said we were being disrespectful by going around her, and left early. Since then, she has ignored all of our messages and skipped our Memorial Day barbecue, which she usually attends. I didn't think asking her twice was crossing the line. We weren't demanding. We offered compensation, and we're family.
Your favorite line?
I don't think it's outrageous to ask somebody who's not working, has nothing to do, to consider helping out when we're clearly in need, especially when it's temporary and paid. I also don't think asking her mom to speak with her was some big betrayal. It was a last-ditch effort to appeal to reason. Now some relatives are saying I was out of line, but honestly, I feel like I'm being punished for asking for help. I respected her no, but I also had every right to try again. Hold on!
Oh my God.
Hold on. I don't think those two things can mutually exist. That's what we call an oxymoron. I respect her no, but I also had every right to try again.
What the?
Does OP realize the weight of what that sentence carries?
Nope.
Does she understand what she's saying in that moment to say, I had every right, or I respected her no, but I had every right to try again? Put yourself in a situation and ask yourself if that's okay, because no means no. And you saying that is completely like...
Here's the deal though.
need help.
If OP was in any other position but really needing childcare help, there's no way those words would come out of her face or her hands or brain, and she wouldn't question it, right? She wouldn't second guess it and be like, oh, no, that's terrible. I can't believe I said that. But she's desperate. So this makes sense to her right now. It's obviously not okay. Top comment here. Yes, YTA, not only did you offer her a job as a 3-day-a-week live-in nanny for only $50 a day, far below minimum wage in many areas, you act as if she is somehow required to take your shitty offer and be thankful for it, no matter how bad of an offer it is. Your shitty offer is not a summons. When she said no, you should have left it. She doesn't want to care for kids. She doesn't want to move away from her home for 3 days a week for work. She doesn't want to be away from her friends and family and her husband. You decided what was best for her without consulting her in the slightest. And now you're trying to get everybody around you to bully her into submission? Back off. Quit pretending you know what's best for your cousin. You don't. And it was never your prerogative to make that decision for her. And the fact that you act like you trying to force your offer is more reasonable than her making her own decisions is condescending as hell. Well said, commenter. Also, it's not your prerogative to make that decision for her. And this is something that you should, like, f*** off, okay? What you tried to do was manipulate someone into being your live-in solution. You took somebody who doesn't want to do this and tried convincing them that it was the right thing to do. Not just for you, but for them. This is not okay. Also, I go back to this. You don't want somebody who doesn't want to watch your kids watching your kids. You don't think your kids notice when the person who is there in charge of them doesn't want to be there? Your kids notice. Why would you want that vibe for your kids in the first place? Dr. Sweets dropped a 5 on the YouTube side, says, I don't think some people who have kids understand the people who don't want children. That includes not wanting to take care of your children. Yeah, it's like not having kids in a family is like having a truck. Does that mean that like you're automatically the first call to babysit because you don't have kids? It's like if you have the truck, you're obviously the first call for everybody that needs something moved, right? 3 nights on a pull-out sofa. Yeah, hey, it's $50 a day. You know what I mean? I don't know. This seems like a giant overstep to me. So yeah, YTA, where on the scale though? It definitely checks the box for 4. Definitely checks the box for 3. It definitely checks the box for 2. Does it check the box for 1? I think the instant, well, once those words came out of their mouth, yeah, it did. And when they tried to go to her mom and like somehow gaslight her into making this choice, which was starting to feel less like a choice and was starting to feel more like a sentence. Yeah, they did. Ask on 1. The entitlement. Mom made it to beyond Ask on 1.